Good morning, good evening, and good night, and welcome to Requiem for London Chronicles, the City of Martyrs. And we begin our scene with an invitation being sent out, an invitation to the Crimson Agents that currently are residing in London. This invitation leads the kindred or the agents to a certain club that's tucked away in a more vibrant part of London, where anyone can attain anything sinful for a good price. But as our players go to this residence, go to this place, they again feel the biting moonlight itching their skin, clawing at their eyes. That sense of being expelled, as if London itself does not want you there. And as you go through the streets of London, you notice more of the state it is in the knowing the immortals quite happy, quite relaxed as they're walking around the streets at night, which is very strange. You also notice sort of posters, signs, banners, adverts of describing the enlightened. It seems like a religious group. You see posters of sort of unity, of religious unity. They seem to be displaying like hope, order from chaos, bringing London back on its true path. And you also even see like neighborhood sort of watch groups that seem to be in uniforms, sort of these blue kind of uniforms, patrolling the streets. You instantly realize that this does make hunting a lot more difficult. These patrols seem to be deliberately looking for people in danger from feeding them. They seem to be going around the dark alleyways and exploring the streets, the many dark corners of London. And you notice these things as you go to that establishment. And we'll leave it to our PC to describe away this residence. Take it away.
And as the camera pans over the darkened streets of London, as has been described, surprisingly so empty, surprisingly perhaps safe to those ignorant enough to believe such things, as far few kindred out and about upon the streets. So difficult to find refuge, place of succor, place in this cursed city, recently being repopulated, reinfested. And as the camera zooms in, panning across the skyscape, there's a gleaming light, multicolored lights that shine forth into the heavens above, into the foggy, hazy clouds, which here and there obscure the now baleful rays of that white moon above, announcing the presence of Club Envy. Inside, the camera pans in. The blasting sounds of music, of the various sorts of DJs sending out the wave after wave of thumping, hypnotic music, intonations, never giving a moment's silence, a moment's reprieve to give anyone an opportunity to think about the activities that they are tempted, as always, to do, as there are many temptations within of alcohol, of young men and women eager for company, food, other illicit materials for those who know where and who to ask, although it's a common fact that it is well, bit of an open secret. Really, everything and anything that one could imagine, it is said, you can attain. Anything that you are envious of, well, at least for an evening, you can enjoy. And they're surrounding the large common area that is lit with sort of scintillating colorations of changing spotlights that move and sway and swirl of their own accord, creating a swirling pattern. Difficult to get one's bearings, difficult to really, for one to understand where exactly they are. It's hard to find one's way through the massive crowd of greens, of violets, of golden colorations as the lights slowly and subtly change and move across the floor and the ceiling and the walls. Around them are vestibules and other smaller wings, which each seem to have different themes, some drawn in by curtains, some with frosted glass double doors, others just too difficult to see in the darkness and through the crowd of people. But as we move through to the back, then down below, there are other private chambers, of which we find two individuals. One just arriving, another sat upon a large, wide chair, although honestly it's more of a couch, really, somewhat couch chair, cushioned, incredibly upholstered, no expense spared in this just chamber here, well lit. But before this man is a wide table. Several chairs have been set out. It is a low table, not a boardroom table or a conference, but more of a low meal table upon which many, shall we say, vintages have been assembled out for, seems, a number of guests that are meant to arrive this evening, and sat with a twisted smile upon his face that yet somehow is rakishly magnetic in an almost appalling kind of way. This bloated, corpulent man who seems, even despite his undead nature, a glaze of sweat or who knows what else, covering his massive face, slick-backed hair, wearing fine yet comfortable clothing, jewelry of various sorts upon his fingers and upon his neck. In his hand there's a large glass of vitae. She enjoys quite with perhaps no care for manners. Behind him are a number of servants, but immediately behind the couch is a man, and it seems to be his early 20s, with exquisitely manicured features, fingernails well taken care of, shirtless and showing in an almost gauche fashion the exquisite physique of this young man, perhaps 19, 20, who looks in all manners the total opposite of this bloated monstrosity. Ah, cousin Jason, it is good to see you here. I am so pleased that you had received my message in this most troubling of evenings. I know how difficult it is to pull you from your work, and how troublesome it is to travel in these nights. It seems there's so little hospitality to be had in this, well, empty city. Please join me.
Well, thank you, cousin. And I see that, well, you're quick to set up your hole of debauchery, or even here in the Isles. How long have you been here, cousin?
Oh, just long enough to set up this little, well, refuge for myself and ours. It is, as I'm sure you can understand, important to have some place of refuge, a place where family can meet and discuss.
Of course,
Ha-
of course. Myself, I have an apartment. I don't feel like this overextending of, well, I'm just gonna shut my mouth.
Come now, Jason. We are blood. Don't need to tell me. As lean back, a great smile upon my face. If you need anything, all you have to do is ask. Please. Can't have my lovely cousin, so diligent in his work, be, well, tasked with um, accommodations which are not suiting your station, suiting your worth. I might be
Yes.
able to. Sure, I could find you something a bit finer, a bit more, well, deserving, a bit closer to myself. After all, like I said, we are family. How is my dear aunt?
Well, dead. As of recently?
Of course.
Now, I see. eh, We never seen really eye to eye now, cousin. And I feel that this is all going to end so happily within the city between us. So let's just get this all over with. Within the city, I recently declared myself sheriff.
Sheriff. Well, that's a fine station, my boy. But, but sheriff of what? Surely this, don't get me wrong, this city needs a sheriff more than anything else. So uncouth.
Sheriff of, well, basically nothing, I would say. This place is this place is, oh well, let's say I don't want to be here, cousin. I wish I was back in the States doing the job I actually loved, with not being here in this place. Chasing shadows, talking to people, trying to get a clue as to what's going on. I don't want to be prince or anything like that, so I took the title of sheriff over this shit stain of a city.
I always a man of duty. Uh, but that is why we need you, cousin. Surely you see that there's no one better to bring the city to heel whatever has been done here to family such as ours. Well, it cannot be abided. Ah,
So, cousin, what is your plan within the city? Do you aim to become the next Prince of London?
Oh, please, please. A simple man such as myself, please. I'm a man of simple tastes, simple needs. I'm a humble individual, one might say. Of course, I do not yearn for such a lofty and really troublesome uh, position. No, I, as ever, am simply seeking out, well, the well-being of, well, myself and mine. That is why I have already seen to this, well, acceptable for the moment, uh, venue that we find ourselves in. We do not have the luxuries, the amenities, the, well, resources that, well, myself and you used to in other more civilized places. So I seek to simply to restore what is right, restore our kindred kin to their rightful place of luxury and power. I'm simply a means to facilitate that end. So please, cousin, don't stand in the doorway like that. Come closer. Let me have a better look at you. Sit down. I have provided a fine, well, spread for us to enjoy, ourselves and the other guests who will shortly be arriving. But until they do, please let us speak candidly. As I power my massive bulk out of the uh, couch chair and with lumbering steps approach you, my sausage fingered hands out, big unwholesome smile upon my face as I seek to embrace you in a warm familial hug.
Mm.
As I do so, it's just awful.
You can feel James actually, he raises up his arms, clutches around you, and gives you a hug back. It's one of these hugs you get from a relative you never really see and you never really know, and it's just that hug you give because you need to give someone a hug without any sort of intention of actually making any effort in the hug. His limbs go quite very relaxed just after the brief hug.
And I hold you close, like a bit. It's kind of an awkward, like, hold the embrace like a second and a half longer than is perhaps appropriate or perhaps desired by you. I know it hurts, cousin. I too feel it. We'll find who did this. Don't you worry. I'm here for you. As I break the embrace and return to my seat, please, here, enjoy. As one of the people in attendance has perhaps brought out in like some nondescript like bottle or container, not clear, sort of perhaps not clear to someone not in the know what surely is contained within this container of liquid. Um, yes, that will be all. So wave away some of the other help in here, and you are met as sort of the container is opened. The heady aroma of vitae fills the air of this room, perhaps to some perhaps surprise, perhaps to your frustration, or whatever your reaction might be, there is some familiarity to the scent in the air. It almost brings back memories, perhaps painful, perhaps pleasant. Of there's something familiar about it, almost as if perhaps just the tasted blood of a favored ghoul, or someone that perhaps you even had turned at one point, or someone or something about this blood echoes back to something personal for you. I leave that to you to determine what that might be. But
Yeah. James sits down at the couch, facing his cousin, and he just gives a good sniff. Dave, what would you do? What would you roll to smell if you have bloodhound? If there is any drugs or anything like that in the blood?
Okay, bloodhound. I think it's your it's the normal roll for tasting in Vitae. The only difference is that you can just smell.
Yeah.
We'll have to look up what the actual roll would be. I think it's your wits and something. Hold on, tasting blood. Talk of. It's an automatic. I think it's an automatic success for you because it's this close. There's a lot of blood. You can smell it.
All right.
Yeah, that's fine. Yes, you would have more than 5 dice, easy.
Yeah.
What's in it?
So I'll ask my dear cousin, is there any drugs in any of these blood bottles?
So you you breathe in the aroma, the bouquet of this. You definitely do get the lingering sense of like ecstasy, of other like party drugs. Clearly, whoever this came from was heavily at the time was under the influence when this blood was collected. Although it's not, like massive quantities. You just get that sense that, that's probably how this was acquired. You got someone high and able to, who knows how this was extracted, or if this individual is still alive. But
he's just gonna shake his head and no, thank you, cousin, but I'm quite content. But two things of value to talk about right now. You say that you want some kind of stability within the city, right? Return it to its former glory.
well, of course.
And of course, I know firsthand that many of your kind can do very much for a city, as can I. Cousin, I say that we don't fight each other when in the city. I say we help each other.
I wouldn't dream of it.
My plan right now is infiltrating the police, getting someone with lower clearance to just see what's going on. Maybe work some other leads as well. No, whatever you want to do, know that I stand behind you and you may call upon me whenever you need me.
Of course. Yes, I know that we are all, well, appointed in this illustrious organization together, and therefore we are united in that mission statement, if you will. But if I might add, of course, we are as one in our endeavors, and your particular talents are well suited to, and I'm sure you will find success in finding a welcome ear in those, well, fine institutions of law enforcement and the infrastructure of keeping of order in this city. And I'm certain that myself and the other individuals of this council will use our talents in the ways best we can. But you and I know we have more keenly felt the injustice of the banishment of our kind from this place, this ancient and illustrious city, which has been in our hands, well, for as long as it has stood. We have felt the pain of a loss of kin. You and I know that my dear aunt, your beloved sire, is no small thing to bring an end to one such as she. Now, cousin, you know that I love my family more than anything else. So I take a massive gulp of, just emptying in one gulp this glass of Vitae. If there's anything that you know or you learn about what has happened to her, about anything that she knew that she was fearful of, strange as it might be to even think such a thing, that such a beautiful one would be fearful of anything, natural or supernatural. We must work together because we have a goal. Our honor is bound to not only retake this city for our kind, but to bring justice for what was done. Surely you agree.
Of course.
Yes. I believe quite strongly. I'm a man who does not follow the belief of coincidences. All things happen for a reason, and all things are, well, a part of some deeper web. I'm certain that, well, there's something or someone that might add some illumination to what has occurred. Now, did you happen to speak with your sire? When was the last time you were in communication before she met her end? Do you know where, how, anything?
No.
No.
Last time I heard of, I was still in New York before I was tasked with my current occupation of guarding this fine city. Before I met my new sire, so to say.
Well, have no fear, cousin. You will get to the bottom of this soon enough. But I do believe our other arrival will be here shortly. I hope your journey was not too strenuous.
No,
so,
of course not. The only thing I would say is, well, if you walk outside, be wary of where you feed. There seems to be some sort of neighborhood watch going around with kindred in their eyes.
Well, and I lean back and I say, I'm quite sure you will see to them soon enough with the diligence that is your custom.
Of course.
I think at this point we will find ourselves with another kindred entering this bar, this exotic place called Envy, as he's just received the same invitation as everyone else. Can we gauge this PC's reaction? Taking a wager. Oh, Peter, sorry. I don't think he's there, so
All right.
perhaps we will.
All right. Some people are not always
No,
on time.
So just as simply, actually, as Eric, as your PC's memories of your sire do start to emerge, and of course through the blood sympathy, you did feel her final death. You felt it. It's the same as many other kindred felt during the time, the purge, the lightning of London. It's that sense of a bright light. It seems to be the only thing that you sensed. It's the only thing that you saw or felt. And it's the same thing with many other kindred. That sensation of some sort of force that eliminated her, which has caused, again, many kindred to become very strange, very paranoid about that. And I think we'll just carry on. Well, Peter, even if he's not, we'll just introduce our other character who's standing in backup.
Now, until our guest arrives, it piques my mind for a question. Although, of course, we are knowledgeable of at least the names, the somewhat reputation of our peers, have you been in communication with any other kindred in this city? Any, well, former contacts, allies, or indeed any other member of our council?
I've been meeting with a few people. So I met, as of a few days ago, 2 other kindred. One a coffin, lying to me, not wanting to tell me anything. Which is, well, something they do. They lie, they say things, they don't want to cooperate with any sort of sheriff or the figure of status. Another one was, well, let's say it was underlined, and a so-called Cappadocian, yeah.
Oh my. Well, I'll be. Well, I think it was, of course. There are few who could, well, be unable to see this little abode I have built for myself and for the rest of you as well. It is best to send them this way. In the absence of any other place of meeting, I feel this location is the strongest and the best that we have. There is ample feeding opportunities, and I have applied my considerable efforts and resources in making this place both safe and welcoming for.
Of course, because you have some competition in that area as well.
How do I?
Yeah.
Detail.
Well, there's this pub, bar thing, speakeasy, that's called the Magician's Knob, ruled by some otherworldly thing.
No. Yes, I've heard of this place. A clever name. Or whatever, some new age individual wishing to give a place of refuge for the less common folk of this city. Now, that is all well and good, and certainly perhaps I myself will have to make a visit to this place soon. But still, There are things that can only be discussed amongst one's own kind. You understand? I'm sure if just that message is spread out, you and I know quite well that of the truth of that statement. Our kind, for the first time in so long, well, we don't know who we can trust but ourselves. After all, it was only our kind, as far as we know, who were driven, affected. I have my suspicions that, well, perhaps it is one of these other alien individuals. But, let's say that nubile young man sort of leans into my ear. So, I think your visitor has arrived. Oh, of course, my dear boy. Thank you. Oh, I believe our guest will be here shortly. Take it away.
A person has entered the club and has probably been escorted down. And just for the sake of it, we will say that into the room, I'm guessing the manservant or whatever will just open the door, and in will come a woman wearing baggy clothing, hood on, a hoodie. She's fairly tall for a woman, and she just walks in, just looks around, and just looks to the the people present, and just says, "Good evening," and she just nods to the two of you and stands there. Is there a chair she can sit in?
There's a sofa or couch.
There are many locations to rest and relax around.
She looks at both the couch and some of the chairs, and she just points over and just, can I take a seat?
Please, Miss Stevenson, it is pleasure to meet you in the flesh at last. Glad you received my invitation. Please take a seat wherever you might please.
Thanks. She walks over and takes a seat. You said that this was to relax in. The concept of relaxing seems to be the furthest away from this person. Her back is completely stiff, or completely up straight, and she just sits there with her hands on her knees, and she just looks at the two of you and just, yeah, we needed to talk?
Cousin, can't you see you're scaring the
What?
woman?
No. I'm good. It's not a problem.
Do you want something to drink? You seem awfully stiff.
No thanks. I'm not hungry.
Of course. Farad, if you will, please, with some refreshment. It is trying times when the moon doth burn like the sun itself, and when ruffians have the indignity to, well, threaten such a noble creature such as yourself, and get that disgusting smile again as that young man leaves my side. Just whether you know you said no, but he comes over anyway and just offers a vitae for you, glass in your hand.
She quickly, like, her eyes are just shifting between the two of you to the glass, and she just, it's not like and she takes a glass and just sits with it for a moment and just sits. Thanks, thank you.
Of course. There we are. Oh, and that guy, as this man so returns, I kind of hold out my hand, and as if magically, he puts the hand my empty glass back in my hand, and it is refilled. Surely he does not need so much vitae, but that is not stopping him.
So, you two are the other, like, representatives?
Miss Stevenson, was it?
Yes.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Jason E. Barber. I am the representative of Mother, the Invictus. I am, well, I'm the sheriff of this town, if you can call it a town, city, whatever it is.
I think it's called London, but and she just, like, you get that thing on her face, like she just says in an expression. It only lasts a couple of moments, but she says "doe" to herself. There's no sound, but that's what she thinks. That's obvious. She doesn't hide it. I mean, yeah, it's just.
Yes, and I am Emile Lafont, the owner and purveyor of this establishment, and of course, one who has sent the invitation to yourself and Mr. Barber here. As I'm sure you, like the rest of us, have come to understand in this short time how empty things are in this place. Well, the most appropriate thing that we representatives, as you say, of this illustrious council come together, meet face to face. We might pool our powers, our minds, and our resources to retaken this once fine locale. So how has your stay thus far in this city of London been? What have you made of it?
She just sits there for a moment, thinks about it. There comes a bit more, a couple of out before she just. Well, I've only met like one other of our kind, and it's it seems that other people that are aware of us seem quite taken aback when they meet people like us. I was at this place, the Magician's something. Yes. And like they almost seemed surprised to see any of us. But I suppose that's what happens when there's no one of us around for like 10 years or something.
Well, I must confess, I find it a bit alarming that there are any who are shocked at our presence at all, given that, well, that there were people who knew of our, well, habitation in London to begin with. Perhaps.
Well, I'm suspecting that it's someone from our, some of the people who used to live here who are like us, who probably messed with some other people that didn't want them.
There are other.
That's the case.
Are you saying there are other kindred?
No, I'm saying that there's quite a few different people of different mages and things, like weird shit. And
yes.
And they probably know
things.
a lot about us, and if they know a lot about us, they might have done something against the people who, it bears, investigation, I suppose.
That, Miss Stevenson, you and I certainly agree. I confess I know little of these so-called mages. I find the idea to be a bit of a far-fetched fantasy, but perhaps there is some truth to what they say.
Well, if you had been at that bar, you would probably think that some of it was possible. Some weird shit going down in that place. But hey, I'm not to judge. It's just she just looks at you. It's just like, aren't we supposed to? She just becomes like a little confused, and she says, "Aren't we, supposed to show something, like show the mark or something?" I'm, and she, I don't know how we do this. Like, do we just?
Oh,
like, we could say that we're things, but we should show the mark to make sure that we are who we say we are.
Oh, you do not need to worry, Miss Stevenson. Your reputation precedes you. I know well who you are, and even of some of your exploits elsewhere.
Emily just becomes even more pale as you say your reputation precedes you, and she just says, "Really? Oh, as you say,
Of
your
course,
exploits." She just seems to calm down a little bit more, and she just says, "Oh, that's a good thing. Right. So, okay, that's not a problem then. Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
indeed. I had thought it was well known. Mr. Barber, surely you as well are familiar with our lovely Miss Emily Stevenson.
I heard some things. Nothing more than a name, and that's about it. I'm sorry. I don't
Oh,
see tabs.
well, right.
No. It's fine. It's good. It's not a problem. Again, she just a note. Like, she seems to, like, any discussion of herself, she just kind of wants to dismiss it or get on to another topic. She seems very, very interested in that. Just like,
Yes, and with, well, fine individuals with, well, experience, such as yourself, I'm certain we can do what we had come here to do with, well, as little difficulty as possible. But I am curious, if I may ask, you are one who has met with some of these people, this establishment, this knob. What did you make of these folk? What were their reaction? Of course, you mentioned surprise, to know, or at least to infer on their part of who and what you are.
well,
Did they ask questions? They seem to know perhaps more than they should. What was their tone? Their judge of character, if you will.
well, in regards to me and the person I was with, they seemed relatively open as someone who's selling something to others. I mean, a paying customer is a paying customer, right? So
Well,
it wasn't about to throw people out.
Well, I suppose it depends on what is for sale.
Well, he was very quick to stress that he also, well, beyond drinks, sold information. But information has price. If I didn't know better, well, if I didn't know better, I would say he knows quite a few things, but it's going to cost us to get it from him. But I don't know.
Miss Stevenson.
Yes.
Say we were with another person. Who might that be?
Just another, another kindred.
Who's that kindred?
I think his name is Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Did you see another representative such as ourselves?
Well, I don't know too much about him, but I think we're the same clan. So,
And what clan would that be?
she just looks confused for a moment. You don't, Gangrel. And
Just making sure.
No, it's not a problem. Like, it's just I've heard that's, and she looks very confused, a little bit lost. She says, "I heard that some places it's very bad manners to ask people their clan and stuff, but I don't know. It's just
Well, I'm the sheriff, ain't I? I need to know things like this. For everyone's good. It's not
okay.
like I'm gonna use this against you. I just want to know who's in town and
So what is your clan?
my clan. I'm of the Devas.
Davis.
What Mr. Bob, I think, is trying to say, as I hold up my hands like a little tension here, is this here place that I have built for us. Well, this is for us, for family. And there is, as we are representatives of the same organization, and we are brothers and sisters in blood, let there be no secrets or tensions between us. After all, it is our kind and our kind alone who have suffered and who continue to suffer so greatly and so unequally compared to the other folk of this city. Now, I know that pain is echoed in both of your hearts. You wish to see, well, justice be done for what has transpired. So let us. I think that is. I look to Farad. That well, I think that is worthy of a toast right there. Like I raise my glass to family. And I don't even wait for anyone else to finish. I just like down the whole glass.
Emily just looks at the cup. She seems confused, or no, she doesn't seem confused. She seems like to family. That does not seem to be something that she necessarily wants to drink. So she just drinks. Doesn't make any notion to cheer or anything, or like make a toast. She just drinks a good sip from it. Just, oh, that's pretty good.
And it actually is. It's very good. Like high, of course, depending upon whatever your tastes might be, but it is certainly of a fine class of human, whoever it was drawn from. Well, I confess I would be most interested in meeting this here Jonathan. It is a good thing. Every new kindred who comes to this city, it is a good thing. We are here to repopulate and to reclaim. So if you happen to speak with this man again, I would be much obliged if you would simply pass by word of mouth to this man, and indeed any other kindred that you happen to come across of, well, this little establishment I have. It's important to show our kind that there's at least one place for us, by us, place where safety and discretion can be ensured. And might I add, on that same note, of course, no offense to your honor, but if indeed you yourself have need of any assistance in getting settled in this new place, please, by all means, merely ask, and that is would be my pleasure and my honor to help and to provide.
Oh, no. It's fine. I've got a thing. I got something. Yeah. No. But thanks a lot.
My pleasure. I give like that same a smile that looks earnest, but just on that face is just can't help be a little creepy, but also like doesn't look false. It just looks, it's like exactly like what he is, a corpulent, ugly abomination being nice to you.
In a way, it looks a little too sincere, like a little too intense. The smile is just a little bit too much. That could be creepy.
A little bit.
Yeah. For the two of you, like, again, this woman hasn't really relaxed at all, and she's not starting to. But you can, like, as you're looking at her, you can probably make out that she's wearing baggy clothing, but like her legs, her neck, like she's bigger than she seems, or she's somewhat muscular. But it's somewhat hard to see under the baggy clothing. But as she's sitting there and with the little moves she makes, you can probably make out that that's probably the case.
Well, to speak plainly about plans and about what is to be done, I, for my part, as I have begun to acquire this venue, and I have plans to acquire other venues such as this and other hold'ems elsewhere. It is my intention, my offer, to aid in this council's aims, that let this here be a place for, well, let us call it an Elysium, as there is no prince to deny or to offer. I think safely, if we representatives of this council do agree, our diligent and honor-bound sheriff, our reputable, the smile again, Miss Stevenson, let this be declared to any and all as Elysium for those who wish it. I have certain resources and certain contacts, and I intend through such means to, there are powers, there are resources to be had which go under the nose of the more well-known authorities, if you take my meaning. Everybody in this town, and in all towns, as they are all the same, it is a fact of life that all folks want something. And if you can provide that thing, as you had said so rightly, Miss Stevenson, for a price, well, there's power in that assertion. There's power in being the holder of what lies desirous in the hearts of men and women. As for Mr. Barber, I believe you not to speak on your behalf, but you have your own talents, skills, and, well, ties, which will also serve in the coming nights to establish our position in this city.
Yeah. Just need to get my bearing a little bit. Find who runs what.
Indeed. And if I am not too bold, Miss Stevenson, what are your plans? What is your strategy in furthering the goals that we have been called to this place to enact?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna have to have a look at some of the places that were normally occupied by us, see if there's anything left, anything that might have been used or taken over by someone. Maybe there are clues left. Who knows?
A fine
Then
idea.
I'm gonna have to ask around and probably end up owing to, I don't know, that bar guy. I don't know. I haven't figured out how I'm gonna approach it, but
Well, I believe he is certainly a man who, for the moment, has a bit of an upper hand. Well, he not only knew enough to set up a place like he did, but had the wherewithal and the foreknowledge of our coming to have, well,
foreknowledge. I mean, it was more the sense of like he was just, he could tell that we were like what I and the other person was.
Of course, I'm sure to one as well laudable as such a man is. But to have sustenance of a kind desirable to some folks such as you and me, it takes a bit of doing, a bit of knowledge beforehand that, well, guests are coming. If you take my understanding.
Right, yeah, totally.
I'm most curious to know how he was aware of that, but all in due time. And I would say it would be a fine idea to, Mr. Barber, once you are established. I would very much like to delegitimize these bands of ruffians.
Well, I get that, but maybe it's like us. Like sometimes we can tell that there's someone like us around. Maybe it's like that. Maybe it's kind of similar.
Oh, of course. I'm sure that this man has his ways and his knowledge, but that is simply my point. Even I, who care of hospitality so deeply, even I must take efforts beforehand to prepare a fine spread when guests are coming. You understand? If he knew that kindred would arrive in the city, well, he had to have known before we had arrived, so that he had time enough to acquire vitae for us to imbibe, if you understand. It stands to logic.
Well, he didn't as much. She looks confused for a moment, and she says, or like, he seems to think about something, and she just says, well, he didn't as much procure substance as much as it, appeared. I don't think anyone really gave blood. It was like the bar just kind of made the drink happen. I don't know. It was strange.
Well, as I look into both of you all, I ain't ever heard the like. I think to see such a thing as that, I believe I must indeed now take myself to this magician's knob and see if it is, well, all that it's cracked up to be.
I would say, cousin, you would watch yourself while the barman Ashford, while
Ashford.
Ashford,
Mr. Ashford, did you say was his name?
something like that.
Ah,
He's
it's a good name. It's a good surname.
he's powerful, whatever he is, and he found himself insulted. I would say maybe he thought I was rude when I came in and flashed my badge.
Perhaps he is a, well, I suppose that is not too.
But of course, dear cousin, of course, another thing you would do while there is be asking for things. It seems like you can't say no to a request.
Well, a man after my own heart, a people pleaser such as myself. Well, I must indeed perhaps make introductions in due time. Fine. Perhaps I judged this man wrong. Much strange information I have learned of this Mr. Ashford, or whatever his name might be.
Well, he seemed quite nice, honestly. When I talked to him.
Well, I'm sure a publican of high repute must indeed be, well, an amenable and personable individual if he wishes to keep his business.
And at that point, we'll say, as you can carry on and continue talking, just some highlights for your characters. The Emily character before you, her sire is the wolf, like one of the most feared kindred in London, and she is totally not what you really expected. Talking to her, engaging to her, the wolf very rarely sires anyone. Actually, you don't even know if he has any children. Only this Emily character is the only child you are aware of. That's quite strange. But then we'll zoom into our other character, who is just outside the Envy Club itself. So, Nelson, how do you wish to approach this place? If Nelson is still there, which I don't think.
No, I'm still there. I forgot I was muted.
I'm sorry, right.
Started speaking and forgot I was muted. But
just to describe to you, your sire basically has informed you of this place, and you go investigate, keep a low profile, see what you can find out.
as he comes in as his usual self, as although disfigured, this guy is someone who's usually noticed, and not because of his car, because he carries himself with pride. Is it pride? But he carries himself with a lot of things. This guy is sort of guy who, when he speaks, most people listen to him because he has kind of this charismatic presence to him. And he is very, no, not pride, but perhaps confidence. So he walks in with that confidence and just looks around to this new place he's, well, never seen before, just as he hasn't seen most of London before.
Okay, as you enter this premises, again, you, as it was described earlier, it's this art club, very packed full of people, very loud. And you do sense the presence of other kindred around. It's very distant feeling. You can't pinpoint. Nicholas, your PC, due to this being his haven, instantly you know when another sort of kindred enters your haven. You're just aware of it. know it. You can feel it scratching at the back of your head. So you are aware of another kindred.
So likely, while you're prowling or you're hunting, you're checking the place out, for several minutes, perhaps 15 minutes, half an hour, or something like that, and eventually you're offering one of the staff. You're surprised, like, I've never been here before. Essentially, like, oh, you're invited, private VIP room, VIP party or something. You're kind of let in, assuming you don't just nope out and leave. But given that if you feel the presence of a kindred, or perhaps multiple kindred, perhaps you might get the sense, if you have any wits about you, that might mean. And of course, beneath the dance hall and the common area, of course, that is shared with Mr. Barber and Emily. And it's like, all right, someone else. I didn't invite them, but let's have them join us.
If that is what you wish, cousin.
But you didn't invite. Okay.
Yes, I think it best we do not talk over much of over business, but it is perhaps it is Mr. Jonathan that you have spoken of before, but as you're led down to.
Maybe.
And
Mr. Lafont, here's the
Sasha, when let in, Sasha walks in. This is someone who, like I said, he's has a certain presence to him, a certain confidence to the way he holds himself. And this is someone who, if it wasn't for the scar on the middle of his face, and it wasn't for just beyond the scar, there's this feel of someone who's been through a tough life, a very aggressive life. And if it wasn't for those things, this guy may be be someone considered good looking, but the rough times he's gone through kind of take that away, and have given instead of to something more with more confidence, more presence, tougher presence. And he walks in. Evening.
And I stand up. I'm a tall individual, and I'm also almost as wide as I am tall. This mountain of gluttonous bulk. I stand up from where I'm seated on my hands, like as if you're an old friend I haven't seen in a long time, and I'm welcome back. Ah, how good you got my invitation. I did not know you would be arriving. How good of you to join us here in this little get-together we are having. I confess I did not know that you were coming. But I'm a man who is prepared. And there's, as has been described before, there's way more like sustenance, like refreshment on the table than is anywhere needed for this number of people who are in here. So there's plenty of whatever you desire.
Well, kind of new to this city. Also, never been one to turn down an invitation. But tell me, who do I owe this great pleasure to?
My name is Emile Lafont, the owner and purveyor of this establishment, and it is my honor and my pleasure to welcome you to Envy. Please make
Sasha
yourself at
O'Bannon.
home. Oh, Sasha O'Bannon.
Pleased to meet you.
And to you as well. Well, my fellows and I were recounting old stories and past times, and we would be welcomed if you would join us. It is so rare to see one of our kind in this place. A welcome sight.
And he'll nod. Thank you. And he'll come in and sit. So, who's the rest of the merry little bunch we have here?
The woman shoots up and just puts out a hand. Emily.
When she stands up, he'll stand up again, shave her hand, shake her hand. Pleased to meet you.
Thanks. I mean, likewise.
He'll smirk. And you, sir?
My name is Jason Barber. I'm the sheriff of this town.
Sheriff. And he'll smirk.
Yeah.
Things must run differently here. I heard there was no prince.
Well, you know, things are that you don't fucking need a prince to have a sheriff.
Well, a sheriff is usually selected by a prince.
You know who is not the prince, but fucking Crimson Council, and I was elected.
So, you are the sheriff under the Crimson Council's authority.
That is correct.
Good to know. I thought heard someone was saying they're sheriff. Rumors sounded like it was just someone saying they were sheriff because they wanted to.
Well, you're wrong. So, who are you? Why are you here?
Sasha O'Bannon. Here because, well, with what's happening with what just happened, might as well come here. See what happens when a city becomes the Wild West.
So you're here to revel in the chaos.
Revel in the chaos. See who works to take that chaos away, put order.
All right.
I think just for people, we'll just do a roll because some blatant lying going on here, and we'll just gauge whether people sense that. See that. This just be a roll to determine like the rest of the conversation. So could all the players? We need to do this one at a time. If you roll your wits and empathy. Nelson, I need to know your composure and subterfuge.
Do we
composure?
Do we use
composure?
Yeah, I think, actually, I can make this a simple test. Actually, we'll just say, Nelson, you have to roll. What is the highest wit and subterfuge? I'm just thinking. I think if everyone agrees.
Wits and subterfuge, or wits and composure?
Sorry, I think if we just simply do Nelson do a test.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Composure, subterfuge. I'll give him a heavy penalty. So we say 3 people -3. Does that seem agreeable?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Rather than rolling for everyone. So Nelson, what is your composure and subterfuge?
Composure is the composure is 3, subterfuge 1, so it's 1.
So just 1 dice.
And it is willpower still the same thing? It's like +3 dice.
may spend a willpower point, and it gives you an extra.
Yep.
Okay, so that'll be 4 dice. Now, 1 success, just the 1 success. So you come across convincing, just barely, it's not obvious that you're lying. So carry on.
So you're here to revel in the chaos and everything like that.
Yeah, you might say that.
All right, I'll keep an eye on you then. If you ever get out of line, I'll know who I'll look up first.
I'll smirk.
Mr. Bob, as you can see, takes his position very seriously. Rightfully so. It is always important, prince or no, to have some degree of law and order. Surely. A place such as this, with all its delights, will not be able to run with at least some, well, oversight. We don't all want to be at each other's throats. At least not yeah, you understand. And, Mr. O'Bannon, welcome to London. Have you, I get the sense from your words, you are a new arrival here. I hope,
And he'll nod.
as I've said, feel free to make yourself home in my establishment. I have many amenities available for folks such as you and I. If there are any other individuals such as yourself who you have arrived with or have met in your brief travels, please, I would be much obliged for you to share the existence of this place to them. I understand it's hard living out there. It's hard living, and I have at that point a number of other very, very small, like not massive balls, but very small, almost petite kind of like glass bowls are kind of brought out, and there's what looks to be a kind of like cherry sorbet. What it's clearly like frozen like vitae. How avant-garde! As he just starts going at even more gluttonously, just going in with his fingers, just slurping up the sort of frozen blood. It's almost like a vitae gelato. Hard living out there. I have built this place to be a home or a refuge for folks such as us. Have you encountered any other kindred since coming to the city? Do we have the honor of being your first?
Most people I met were here before. Some freaky girl tried to jump me.
Another kindred?
Yeah. Bitch wanted to touch me. Wanted to, I don't know what she wanted to do. Kind of acted like a weird freak. Jumped me.
My.
And unfortunately for her, she jumped me somewhere she wasn't supposed to. I think she turned into some fucking frog.
It's quite a story. Where did this happen?
Magician's knob.
Oh, really? Is that so?
Heard it's kind of a neutral place for kindred and other low freaky things.
You know, I have heard much of the same thing. How many kindred did you say were there? One? A few?
there were a few. Hard to tell. There were other things there too.
Well, my. The
Are you
city
sure
is
they were?
full of surprises.
Are you sure that you don't know how many people were actually there?
I didn't fucking count. They were full of people. I wasn't gonna count every kindred. None of my business.
Well, I'm sorry that such a you are accosted at such a place. Of course, there is. This is not like, as you have astutely observed, a bit different than most other kindred holdings. I do hope that you will find the hospitality of this establishment a bit more to your liking than to that bit of a rough and tumble place, it might seem. It's a shame that.
Nothing wrong.
Well, of course. But
nothing wrong with a bit of rough and tumble, but yeah, this place seems calmer, and sometimes I'll need calm.
Well, I believe you'll find that this place can indulge in whatever it is you might desire, be it a little bit of excitement, a little bit of tantalization, a little bit of satiation, or indeed a little bit of peace and quiet as your heart might wish. But, well, I have also heard, I think my friends here have also heard much of this magician's knob. I have not yet had the opportunity to visit this place in person, but I have been most convinced that it is a sight that I need to see with my own eyes.
It really is. The whole place surrounding it is quite a place to see.
Indeed. So what have you been? What do you do in the city, Mr. O'Bannon? Is there? You have some trade or some occupation that you have been busying yourself with? There are so few of us, perhaps. It is a good idea, I think, for kindred such as ourselves to be a bit aware of each other. Don't want people turning us into frogs and all that.
And he'll grin. Well, that's still to be settled, but I've only been here a few days, few nights. But back home I was looking for the word. It's the opposite of like the bad side, the Santa's sidekick thing, like the guy who goes see the naughty kids.
A bit of a.
Oh, you see,
I believe
I'm looking for the word.
Yes.
Well, wait, I'm talking about that OC because he would know the word. I just can't think of it right now.
Yes,
the Grinch, the
Krampus. I believe it's the story of the Krampus. A bit of a punisher of the naughty and the the ill-mannered, if you will.
So yeah, that he'll say that. He'll say, I was kind of the crumple of the town, so that the naughty kids were taken care of.
Well, perhaps there's more to you two in common, isn't there, Mr. Barber?
No. This man seems like a ruffian, rude man, maybe an idiot, even. I don't know.
Oh, come now, Mr. Barber. Let's not drive away our new friend here. They're all good company is so hard to find now.
Now, I wonder what I did that just makes me rude or an idiot.
Well, obviously, you come into this place, you start
Yes.
swearing, and then when you actually go somewhere, you don't count people, you don't look at your surroundings, you can get jumped at any time. You actually survived your first year as a kindred surprises me.
Oh, I saw the bitch coming. She just came,
I'm
talked to
not
me.
talking about that.
Well, you said that I was jumped. You talked about being jumped being a mistake. So yeah, you kind of did.
No, I said you could have been jumped. I'm saying you didn't count how many people there were in the place, what kind of people there were in the place. You don't even know how many kindred there were in the place. Either that, or you don't want to tell me, which is rude to me when I ask you a question, and then you say I didn't fucking count. What do you say? Do you say that to your sheriff?
I didn't count because it's not
You're an
really
idiot.
not my business who goes to the Crimson Council. I pay attention to people who come to me, whether they try to come sneaking or not.
So you say you didn't talk to anyone of these kindred within this bar, then?
Well, she came to talk to me.
So you only talk to her.
Talk to other people.
Did you talk to any other kindred?
And he'll think, yeah, talk to some guy.
To some guy. He didn't give you his name?
I think he said his name was did he'll think the Hound?
The Hound.
Okay, no, that's a big thing. Since he says the Hound, as Dava, and as quite an old Dava, you know the Hound instantly, and you know who the Hound is. The Hound's a very reputable, very nasty banshee. His reputation precedes him.
All right.
And just to remind players, Dava despises banshee, old blood rivalry that spans many centuries.
Well, so when the Hound comes up in conversation, I'll give my cousin a glance.
I clearly catch it, but I.
Oh yeah, so all Davas would be aware of this. It's like an old blood hatred.
Yeah.
Century.
So, given our connection, I don't make. I'm still like I'm, my fast sausage fingers are like, I finished that sorbet. My fingers are like sweeping clean the final drops, and I'm sucking on the just indulging in gluttonous activities. But I clearly, I see your glance, but I don't. I got my gluttonous poker face on.
Ooh. So, O'Bannon, what did you two talk about?
You seem to be very, and he'll think, curious about my what I do.
And what do you do?
Actually, Emily will, as soon as you say you're curious about that, Emily will just sound in with, it's the sheriff asking you a question. I suppose he can be as curious as he wants. I suggest you answer the question.
He talked about, I don't know, being a banshee. Kept going on about that.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear it.
He talked about being a banshee, and he kept going on about that.
About you being a banshee or he being a banshee?
About him being a banshee.
All right.
He said he was a banshee. He said he was a banshee.
Anything else you talked about?
Not really.
Not really. Any small detail does wonders here, O'Bannon.
No, not really. He said it was a banshee, blah blah blah, and then just left the table. Told me about the city. Told me there was told me about you. Told me there was someone saying he was the someone was saying they were the sheriff of the town. Guessing that's you, unless there's two of you saying the sheriff.
Of course. Do you have any previous relationship with this man? Have you met him before? Or is this the first time?
Heard of him before.
Heard of him? Where?
Traveled through Ireland. Heard of him there.
All right. Did you get any contact information to him? Do you know his number, where he lives?
If you look at him. No, he'd be stupid to tell me where he lives.
Just asking. Well, if he ever contacts you again, I would love to hear from you. If you ever see him again, please inform me.
There's so much going on at this magician's knob. It seems I have my work cut out for me to establish a venue that matches that level of interesting attractions, shall we say. A hound man, banshees, people turning into frogs. How can a man compete with that?
I didn't get all of that.
No, no matter. Just.
Oh, I see. I didn't get all of that. Sorry.
Well, I was simply lamenting. It seems this magician's knob is quite a happening, exciting, unpredictable place with hounds and people turning into frogs and all sorts of unexpected things. I have my work cut out for me to establish this venue as equally as attractive and exciting.
Yeah, I'd say you're right on that.
It's all right. I am a man who does enjoy a challenge. Thank you for that fat smile.
I want to gauge O'Bannon's state of emotion right now as I kind of drilled into him a little bit. If that would be okay with a roll?
Yeah.
Something? Would you do me the honor, Dave?
Yeah. So due to you poked and you're still gauging his reaction as you've done that. So I'll make it between you two. So Nelson, this would be your composure. Composure is subterfuge because you're trying to hide action and trying to.
So composure 3, subterfuge 1.
Okay, so that's 4 dice. So I'll just roll that now. Oh dear, no, nothing. But we still have to roll for Eric because he may get nothing this time. Okay, so Eric, what it would be your wits and empathy, the kind of thing.
6 dice.
6 dice.
5 with speciality and emotions.
Okay, well I'll roll that just to gauge. Okay, I think we have to roll for this. 1 success, unfortunately. So, Nelson, what is your PC's reaction to being provoked by Eric's PC? Is it kind of a fear or a sense of trying to hide something?
No, it's more not sure what to say. Some kind of amused or not really amused, like challenging, but like when someone likes being challenged, and to him it's like, he's telling me that could be fun. Well, he's provoking me, and that could just he's curious and a bit of curiosity about what will happen in the future between the two of them.
I'll describe that as Eric. You sense from this character, he's a fighter. It's that sense of he likes to be challenged. It's as if he's looking forward to being challenged to fight you. It's a reaction. It's a reaction of someone, how an enemy would act at a certain point, not a friend. But that's the emotion. That's the feeling you get from it. There's definitely a lot more to it. There's definitely a lot more going on. You're just not sure yet.
I'll just say simply to him, well, Mr. O'Bannon, if you find out anything more of anything about this hound, please do tell me, and know that, not telling me would be dumb. As in, really dumb.
Sure thing, Sheriff.
Good. I'll make my way out. Cousin, it's been an honor seeing you again. I'll look forward to coming to your fine establishment once again soon.
Of course. You, as all of you, are welcome at any time. Oh, Miss Stevenson, if you would do me the honor of allowing me to walk you out of this as well, as I believe our evening has concluded. We are all busy men, and there is much to do, much opportunity as in this wide open city of London.
Emily stands up and looks quite confused with the concept of being followed out. She just looks at him and just sees if she has to do anything.
And I just walk over. Surprisingly, I'm able to walk at all for any period of time. As I just hold out my hand like a southern, a high class, southern gentleman.
Okay. And she seems to begin to walk out.
And
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I bring your hands. You grab my hand. I kiss your hand. Of course, my massive lips, the jowls of my face encompassing, the whole of the upper portion of your hand. It is loathsome, and to most people, it would be very uncomfortable and gross.
To add to that, not only would people probably think that, Emily just looks utterly petrified in terror as you do that, because it looks as though it could have been an alien saying hello in its own language. She just, thank you. And she kind of
I totally no sell that, as if just this is normal.
And she just quickly begins to make her way out. Again, she's not at all dressed for this place. She's dressed for very casual things, going to the store, buying shit, and going home. She does not fit into a nightclub.
Before she leaves, you'll hear behind you, Miss Stevenson.
Yes?
If there is at any point, at any time, any trouble you have, give me a call and he'll extend a business card to you.
She takes it, nods once, and just says, right, yeah, I'll in. And she kind of gets out a mangled looking wallet that is barely holding together, and she just kind of stuffs it in there and just gets it packed. It seems to take a little while because it's almost like falling apart at the seams, but she seems to tuck it in there, and she's just right. Good evening, and she kind of hurries on away, and yeah, she seems to leave the area of this club.
Yeah, as he's been, I guess, escorted out by the people that are, well, everyone is walking out apparently. So he's escorted out and he'll just smile at the people presented. I'll look forward to seeing all of you again.
It was a great pleasure
And,
meeting you, Mr. O'Bannon.
as it was for me. And to the three other people, he'll do a bow, but it's not a very extremely formal bow. It's more of a very wait, what's the word? Yeah, kind of a gypsy kind of bow.
No, bit of a flair to it.
Yeah, that's fletcher.
Okay. And just as you know, Emil doesn't follow you out. He was sort of just like escorting escorting the lady out as a gentleman is supposed to do.
Oh, okay.
Clearly, Emil is a gentleman. Look at that face. But
just screams gentleman.
but as you're walking back through the coat check, like on your way out, you, Sasha, you get your Mr. O'Bannon. A moment, if you will.
And he'll nod. Sure.
It's that young man that had been standing behind Emil, and like refilling, his glass, and just seeing to everyone sort of building into the background a little bit, although not anywhere hidden at all. Thank you for your time. Mr. Lamont was rather taken with your demeanor and character. I would like it to be known if you are in need of any employment or have any desire to any material, financial, or
And
any
he'll smile.
recompense.
Yeah.
Mr. Lamont
He'll
might
smile.
have need of someone of your talents. You seem to be a man of action and assertiveness, and who can perhaps look into things or to mete out certain, well, let's just say you seem to be someone who can get results regardless of the task laid out before you. If you
And
are
he'll,
interested, here
smile.
is Mr. Lafont's contact
Sorry.
information. Sorry. Yeah.
And he'll smile. Ah, good to know. Good to know. I might just hit him up on that offer.
Good evening to you. And he hands you a business card or like a contact info. It has so you can contact this man ostensibly.
And he'll nod, take the message, and as he walks out, he'll probably do that skip thing where you kind of skip in the air and hit your heels together as he lights up his cigarette and walks away.
Right. And I do not leave. Of course, I do not leave the club. I remain within the bowels of this den of debauchery and iniquity, where I have many things to do, and the night is young.
Okay.
Now,
So, sorry, is all the PCs left? Or?
Yeah.
Oh,
Now
let me-
so I guess one. I do give a text at some point during the evening. Obviously, don't have to play this out. But just as an FYI, I do give a text to Mr. Barber. That there is a certain piece of information that we should discuss at some point in the near future. That I did not want to even bring up when we were alone, in case we did not have the opportunity. But a meeting between family. So with that, that's all that occurs for Emil.
Okay. And with that, we end our scene on this particular night of these kindred meeting. This establishment, this club, Envy, filled with secrets, new friends, and new enemies potentially. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show.